Alrighty, Kansas Bass Nation. We are headed to Wilson Lake this weekend. We're going to go ahead and do boat draw and kind of talk about a few things. First thing I want to talk about is how we're going to launch. So there's a lot of new anglers this year, a lot of new teams, new boat captains. So Wilson State Park is located right here, kind of middle of the lake, kind of the lower or 1/3 mark there of the lake. So you come in off of 181 to 232, and you go over the bridge there, and then pull into the state park. So when you're coming in the morning, it is dark and a little windy. You're going to pass the ranger station, or whatever you want to call it here, the state park information station. Stop there and pay your daily fee. It's a self-pay station there. If you have your yearly pass for state parks, when you did your tags, you don't need to stop there. You can just continue on as long as you have your sticker in your windshield. You're going to continue on through the windy roads there. Watch out for deer. Make sure that if you need to use the facilities, this is the nicer facilities on the way down. It's also a good place to kind of pull through, make the kids use the facilities, prep your boat real quick, everything but the front hatch or the front latch, and then pull on down here. Right about the Tatanka Lodge is where the opening of the parking lot starts. You're going to hug a right-hand side of this, come down on the very right-hand side. You're going to pass the two porta potties there with the fresh new concrete over there. You'll be able to see that. I think that's where the light is at as well. So it's another good place to prep your boat. Do not pull all the way down here without a prepped boat. If you guys could, so everybody behind you knows what's going on while you're prepping your boat, if you're not ready to pull forward, please have your flashers on. That will let people know that are behind you that are already ready to go, know that they can kind of go up and around you to go launch their boat. Let's not go more than 2 wide. So if you're prepping your boat, pull off to the right with your flashers on. If you're done prepping your boat, go ahead and pull up to the left of those people that have their flashers on. Don't be passing people that don't have their flashers on those. So get back in line once that the flashing stops. You're going to pull down here to the Wilson ramp here. You're going to hug a hard right here. Come down. If you don't come down, it's really hard to back into this ramp because it's steep enough that when your boat's all the way up here and you're trying to back in, you have no clue which lane you're hitting. So if you pull in real far down low and then hug to straighten up, it's a lot easier to back into this ramp, especially since it's a 3 wide ramp. You don't want to be up here all jackknifing the whole way back. If you're not familiar with how to back in a trailer, or you're not comfortable with it, especially with it being dark, just holler at us. We got plenty of parents and people that can step in and help you back in and go park your vehicle. So once you've backed the kids in the water, you can have them pick you up at either ramp or either dock. Just tell them which one to meet you at. So kids, back up the boat on the trolley motor, make sure your life jackets are on and all that fun stuff, and then pull up at whichever ramp that your parents said that they're going to pick you up at. Wait a few minutes, though. Give them time to park before you go pull up and try to make a traffic jam at the ramps, because there's other people launching their boats as well. So back up a minute, give your parents about 5-10 minutes to go park, and then pull up to whichever one they told you to meet you at to pick up your parents. Don't just pull up and wait for them, because there's other people that need to pick up their parents or their boat captain as well, or their anglers, depending on who's parking the vehicle. Morning launch is we will be sending boats out estimated time at 7:05 both days, depending on safe flight and any chances for fog. It is fall fishing, so there's always that chance for a fog delay in the morning. We will be doing 1:30 check-in times for junior high, 3:30 check-in times for high school, both days. And then you will have flight times as well. So next to your boat number, I will also post your check-in time as well. So we do every 15 boats is 10 minutes. So boats 1 through 15 would be doing at 1:30, boats or 1:30 or 3:30, depending on if you're high school or college. Juniors or high school. And then so on and so forth. Every 15 boats is 10 minutes. So make sure you know your boat number before you come to the ramp. Make sure you know your check-in time before you come to the ramp as well. You shouldn't be out on the water texting mom or dad or somebody on shore saying, hey, what time am I due in? I think it's 1:30 or I think it's 1:40. You should already know that information before you got to the lake. So it's going to be on the spreadsheet. It's going to be on the website page. It's going to be on the website blog post. It's accessible for you to know that information before you go to the water. Once we comes to calling boat numbers, so about 7:02, 7:03, if there's no fog, we'll do national anthem. Anybody that's not in the water at the time we're ready to go live with national anthem, we will cut off boat launch if you're fishing the tournament, so there's not a cluster here while we're launching boats. So make sure you're there on time. That being said, I'm going to put a time for you to launch on the spreadsheet and a time for you to check in on the spreadsheet at the end of the day. So check in at the end of the day is at this long ramp. I don't know if you see this little cursor here by this boat. This long ramp is where you check in at the end of the day. Your boat float needs to go in the net at the end of this boat ramp at the very end of the day. You can also drop off your angler or the person that's going to grab the trailer if you don't have somebody on shore already going to grab the trailer for you. So if you draw boats 1 through 115, you guys should be getting to the ramp ready to launch your boats between 5:45 and 6. You should be in the water no later than 6 for boat 1 through 115, in my opinion. 16 through 30 should be there between 6 and 6:15 in the water, like not pulling in, actually in the water. 31 through 45, 6:15 to 6:30, and then anybody that's higher than 45, if we get any late registrations or anything like that, should be in the water 6:30, 6:45. Gives you 15 to 20 minutes if you're one of the last boats before boat launch to figure out problems, and it gives you 45 minutes or so if you're one of the earlier boats to figure out any mechanically problems. So it's good to be on the water, make sure the boat's starting, all that fun stuff, your nav lights are working. It gives you time to figure something out. Once you've launched your boat and picked up your angler or your boat captain, 1 through 15 should be staging kind of along this shore, just inside this rock jetty. 1 through 15 should be over here, okay? 16 through 30 should be right about here, okay? 31 through 45 should be right about here. And if we get anybody over 45, just kind of free float out here in the middle. Find your neighboring boats. If you're boat number 7, you should be looking for boat number 6 or boat number 5. So you know where to follow through the line. If you can't find boat number 6 and you're boat number 7, if you know where boat number 5 is, you know there should be a boat between you and boat number 5. So keep an eye on boat number 5 the entire time. Once they start pulling up, you should start pulling up. Just make sure you leave room for the guy, if you don't know who boat number 6 is, to squeeze in. You're going to come by the end of this dock when we start calling boat numbers. We're going to toss you your boat float. So if you're boat 1, you're going to get a boat float. Boat 2, you're going to get a number. That boat float is a very key element to how our day goes. If we don't get that boat float at the end of the day, at the end of this dock, we don't know that you've made it back safe. We also don't know that you've made it back on time if you were late or if you were early. So that boat float is how we know to give you a penalty or not, or how we know to send out a search and rescue team if you haven't shown up. So that is very crucial. We've done really good over the last couple of years, but there's always one boat, it seems like every single tournament, that forgets to check in. We're no longer going to give you exceptions. If you weigh fish and you didn't turn in your boat float at the time you're supposed to turn in your boat float, it's going to be treated as if you were not checked in. So please make sure you've checked in. Would hate to disqualify somebody for not checking in with their boat float. So come by the end of the dock, turn in your boat float at the very end of the day, drop off your person, and then you'll exit and then come weigh fish. We're going to park the trailer on the opposite side of the parking lot than we normally do and release fish right over here. So on Sunday, this right here, from point to point, will be off limits. Okay, Saturday it's fair game because we haven't released any fish there. But Sunday, point to point right here is off limits, okay? Other than that, the only thing that's off limits is things that are marked off limits, which would be, commercial gas dock right here. I believe it says no fishing within 50 feet of the commercial gas dock. Pay attention to signage. There's no fishing buoys right here around this area, so do not cast into that area. Also, do not have your boat into that area. There's a few more like beaches and stuff that have no fishing buoys on them too, so just make sure you guys are paying attention to what's marked no fishing. If it's marked no fishing or marked no fishing within 50 feet, do not fish. Treat that as a exact brick wall. So if it's 50 feet from that dock, you should not be casting a line into that area. Just to go back over launch, I missed a point. So you're going to idle by the end of this long dock. Sorry to be kind of spazzy here and off. out of order. But you're going to go by the end of this dock, get your boat float, have your live wells open and running, navigational lights in and on. And then you're going to start hanging a right to come out here. Don't get so close to this peninsula that you can hit the rocks. Be a good 10, 15 feet off, but don't be 30, 40 feet off. So kind of, trying to shoot for that 20 to 25 foot range at the most, but not closer than 15. You're going to pull your keel switch right here where that cursor is right now. It's bouncing back and forth at the end of this rock jetty. Do not pull the cursor back here. Do not pull it between. Pull it out here where you've had plenty of time to get away from dangers and obstructions. And that way we also have a person on the end of this pier listening for that. If they ask you to pull it again and you pulled it back here, don't just put your hands up and basically tell us to, don't want to use any curse words, but you know what I mean. There's been a lot of, I've already done it. Well, if you've already done it and you go out and we didn't see it, we'll DQ you. So we're going to disqualify teams for not doing stuff the way we actually tell them to. Sorry, trying to make sure we cover everything. If you have not read your rules, bassmaster.com, high school and junior rules are in place. So you can go to bassmaster.com, click on high school, or bassmaster.com and click on junior. Those are the rules that we use. Check-in times at the end of the day. Like I said, every 15 boats will be 10 minutes. We'll post those next to your boat draw. Also post those next to your estimated boat launch time. Other than that, it's 5 fish limit, 15-inch minimum, largemouth bass, spotted bass, and smallmouth bass only. So black bass species. You do not need a black bass pass at this lake because it is a 15-inch minimum lake, as is Milford, just so you guys are aware. And then sunrise should be about 7:33 to 7:36 both days. So we should be able to, like I said, send people out about 7:05 pending any fog delays. Weather's looking good wind-wise so far. Wind gets a little crazy if it's blowing more than probably about 20 miles an hour out of one of these two directions. So if it's blowing southwest, it can get a little hairy at the state park area, or if it's blowing southeast, this little chute can get a little hairy too. So we don't want to see really more than 20 mile an hour winds out there. Occasional gust is one thing, but consistent winds, makes it a little hairy. But once we've launched you, there is no, pulling back. It is the boat captain's job at all times to keep the anglers safe. So if you ever have a storm rolling and need to take cover, there's plenty of docks and beaches and stuff to be able to beach your boat and take cover. Same thing with docks and marinas, depending on where you're at on the lake. So make sure that you always keep the angler safety in your best interest. We will open scales an hour before each first flight check-in time. So if the first flight's due back at 1:45 on junior high or 1:40 on junior high, then we will open the scales at 12:40 in the case of the events that there are people that need to leave early or, weather, potential afternoon weather issues, stuff like that. But they will always be open an hour before. That is a Bassmaster rule. They will not be open before that. So if for some reason you need to pull your boat off before that, you would be not able to weigh fish. So make sure that you guys are weighing fish or pulling your boats off in that scheduled amount of time. So if for some reason you need to pull off the water and you want to weigh fish, somebody has to stay with your catch at all times. So can't pull your boat out and then go to town and come back. That's not legal. So trying to make sure we've covered everything. Most of you have fished with us before. If you have not fished with us and you have any more questions, I'm going to pop my phone number up on the screen here, see if I remember how to do that. There it is. There's my cell number. Please put that in your phone. That way, especially the boat captains and anglers, please make sure that you have that in your phone. If you have any questions, after launch is sent out. During launch, it's not a good time to call me because I'm doing launch. But after launch, way before launch, anytime besides the weigh-in and launch, my phone number is usually able to be answered. So as long as we have signal. If for some reason I do not answer a phone call, please immediately follow it up with a text. So that way I know you're trying to get a hold of me, because sometimes when we're out in these lake areas, a phone call won't go through, but a text will, or vice versa. So make sure you try both avenues if you're trying to get a hold of me. If there's an emergency on the water and you need to be towed back, you can be towed in by another angler. An angler can ride in with your catch to try to make their check-in time on time. So say you're due back in at 3:30, you're a high school team and your boat's broke down. You can have another team take one of your anglers, or both of your anglers for that matter, if you would like, back to the ramp with their catch. So you would make sure that they have a second live well or a way to keep your fish separate, and then or tagged with non-piercing cold tags. You could do it that way as well. So just make sure that you're riding back in with somebody has to be with your catch at all times. That same goes with going through the weigh-in process. You can't come up, put your fish in the tank, and then walk off because you need to go get your jersey or camera or mom or dad or whatever. Somebody has to be with your catch at all times throughout the day. So if for some reason somebody needs to escape or leave the boat to go to the bathroom, there is no fishing while that person is not on the boat. If it's a boat captain, for sure you need to be tied up to a dock or whatever. If it's an angler, obviously the boat captain and the other angler can keep the boat out in the middle of the water waiting for them, but you're not allowed to fish while all contestants are not on the boat. So if somebody gets hung up and they need their boat captain's help, high school or junior high, that is allowed. You're just not allowed to reel in a catch after they're hung up. We know some of these lures are very, very, very expensive, and sometimes the boat captain has to step in. That's the only time a boat captain should have a rod in his hand. On the high school side, especially. Junior high side, you can help tie knots and stuff. Just make sure you're using it as a teaching moment. You should not be rigging tackle for other rods and reels while the anglers are fishing. It just doesn't look good to have a rod and a reel in your hand. It's possible, scenarios where somebody takes a picture from far away and it looks like you're fishing, stuff like that. Just, it's one thing to be cleaning your boat, organizing your boat, but just don't pick up any rods or reels. Junior high side, you can net fish, you can run the trolley motor, you can basically do everything but fish, as long as you're using it as teaching moments as well. And then high school side, the boat captain is not allowed to do anything but drive the boat, so you're not allowed to net fish unless you have a solo team, because your other angler's not out there because of sickness or whatever, you haven't found a teammate yet. Then the boat captain can net fish for you. Other than that, the boat captain's not allowed to run the trolley motor, anything like that on the high school side, unless the boat or the angler's safety is in danger. So if we do all of a sudden get to 35, 40 mile an hour winds and you need to jump up on the trolley motor, that's completely understandable. So other than that, that's basically about it. I hope I've covered everything. If I have not, text me, call me, 913-562-4660. I had it up on the screen there for a little while. I did want to show, I think I had one other thing to show. Oh, boat draw will be posted to the website. That's right. So I'm going to post the boat draw after this video to the website. It will also go out in a blog post as well. So that way you guys can see it and always be able to access it. So I will post the boat draw, your check-in times, estimated launch time for your boat in the mornings, both days, at the on the website and the blog post on the website. So that way, if you subscribe, you also should get a notification of that. We'll upload this video to YouTube and Facebook, so you should be able to see it. Kansas Youth Bass on YouTube or Kansas Bass Nation Youth Fishing on Facebook. So thanks a lot. We'll see you guys this weekend. Tight lines, and hopefully the bite is good this weekend. It should be with the dropping temps. So we'll see you.